Yeah. All right. Gang. What up, man? I'm back. I'm back live, man. Hit that like button. As I step in here, and I'm gonna present y'all some shit. Hopefully, my shit don't get flagged or took down. But this is what I be watching, that Gematria shit, right? This is what I was telling y'all. I got you, babe. So I was telling y'all. And pay attention, gang. Pay attention, man. She crazy. Me and my wife was just talking about this shit, right? Listen.
Before the Rams beat the Bengals by 3 points, and I know I got haters galore on that, but again, I told everybody it'd be a 3-point game, and I said Odell Beckham would score the first touchdown with 9-1 odds, as he did, because he went from Cleveland to LA. The Rams franchise is originally from Cleveland. Odell Beckham, look at his name, you guys. Odell Beckham Jr., 56 in the most pure. His birthday is November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. That's the day he got traded to the Rams last year. That's why we knew he'd score the first touchdown. And then Cup, for the 102nd season, is the MVP. But here's the weird thing. 263 days after Super Bowl 56, that's the 56th prime number. I only had one offer for my house that just sold, and it's his grandfather, who also played in the NFL, Jay Cup. So the new owner of the house I've been living in Yakima is Cooper Kupp's grandpa. And we reached an agreement. Well, here's what else is weird. He wanted to buy the house on November 2nd, but he was trying to really lowball me. And he still got a good deal on the house because, again, the time's not right to sell your house right now. We had to do it for life circumstances. Sweet lady is now working 50 miles from where we lived, and she didn't want to drive a 100-mile round trip each day. Plus, she's not comfortable driving on the interstate anyway. But anyway, that's why we were moving. But on November 2nd, he wants to buy the house. He's trying to buy it for $100,000 below the market value, which I wasn't going to do. And he still got a good deal, but he didn't get as good of a deal as he wanted. But November 2nd, he starts negotiating. November 3rd, we reached the agreement, which was 263 days after Super Bowl 56. And then he wanted to get in there ASAP because they're staying at their friend's house right now. And he got all the way into the house yesterday, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. And then what's the gematria of my surname? Hubbard. And the weird thing about where my house is, and I didn't realize this when we first moved there, but I realized it like a month of living there. I was like, wait a minute. The creek next to our house is called Hubbard Creek, and then there's also a park close by that's called Sarge Hubbard Park. I was like, I guess we're supposed to live here. This is funny, man.
That's crazy.
Hubbard Creek. So anyway, that is the organic side of the code. And for all the people out there who speculated that maybe they were doing a ritual with me, I don't think so, you guys, because I met him yesterday, and I'll tell you what, on the phone, he was like a grumpy old man, but meeting him in person, he was really friendly and all smiles and super talkative, and his wife's a real sweet lady too, but they're older. They're in their 80s, and they're starting to lose their mind. I can't tell you how many times I was talking to him yesterday, he was like, oh, shoot, I lost my train of thought again. And then he had to write me a check because he wanted to buy furniture in the house, and he wrote the completely wrong month and day for the check. So, I mean, they're older. They weren't organizing any ritual. He couldn't even remember what month and day it was. But it's just the way it worked out. And it's weird, too, because what do most people know me for? They know me for calling football games, right? Then I end up selling the home to Cooper Kupp's grandpa. Again, you guys, the reason I'm telling you this story is because you have to understand there's a reason they do this. There's an ancient belief system that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words, and this is how God works through the world, through numbers, letters, and words. This is what Kabbalah teaches. And some people will say, oh, that's an evil satanic belief system. All you can do is believe in Jesus. And it's like, well, that's a really closed-minded thing to just say something's evil because you don't know about it and because it's a little bit different than your spiritual belief system, especially when you research the name Jesus and you find out it's like the 10th name he's been given and it's all gematria encoded because Jesus, cross, Messiah, gospel parables, occult, Lucifer, killing, all these words are all 74 in just the same most simple cipher. But again, there is something to this belief. It didn't come from nowhere. My guess is it came from a lot of observation and people who are good with numbers realizing like there is something going on with numbers. You know, my dad was just saying it's so weird that he's only been in 2 car crashes in his whole life, and they're both at the intersection of 117th Street, and in both cases he got rear-ended while he was stopped. He was stopped at a light and somebody crashed into the back of him, just not paying attention. And if you guys missed that recent story where I told about my dad, it was on the 22nd of September. And if you look up 22nd of September, it's Stop Driving a Car Day or something like that. It's like National Stop Driving a Car Day, something like that. But the word crash is 22 in the most pure cipher. And a whole bunch of people connected to this community ended up being in car crashes on the 22nd, including my father, my realtor, as I was in the process of buying the house, the father and son tandem that came out to New York City and pounded payment with us for the weekend, who I spent the majority of the time while I was driving from New York back to Seattle talking to, who was worried that I was going to get in a crash. So he was trying to keep me up on the road as I drove across the country. And again, that there is something to these numbers and this system. And my guess is it works out this way in whatever native alphabet, because again, it's like it molds to your life. And keep in mind, English is the language of the world now. But yeah, it's more than just, these people do it for definite ritualism. There's no denying that. You know, it has to be the perfect ritual. They got to have the guy in the right story building. Trump's got to announce from the 58-story Trump Tower that he's running for the 58th presidential election. This stuff is ritualism. You can see how it's being contrived, but at the same time, being aware of the knowledge, you can also see how it manifests. And again, when I finished my latest book, just like my first two books, again, this book ends with the organic side of the code. My latest book, Number Games 9/11 Coronavirus. My first book, the big book, Letters and Numbers, ends with the organic side of the code. And like I've always said, the reason I teach about that is so people can see there is something more than just the ritualism. There's a reason. There's a method to the madness.
I said there's something more.
There's a spiritual belief system behind it.
It's a spiritual belief system.
And don't forget, in Kabbalah, that there's the good side, which is about understanding the way the world works. And then there's the dark side, known as the Clip-Off, which has Sumerian Gematria 666, like what they just did with the Astros game, connected to all these deaths. And the Clip-Off side is about sorcery and spell casting and having influence over people, and can be used for wickedness. So I hope we can discern the difference. You know, look at the high percentage of celebrities who die by these numerical patterns. And let's just say that it's not somebody showing up at Aaron Carter's house and giving him something, slipping something into whatever that makes him pass out and drown in the tub. If it is that these guys are just dying perfectly by the numbers, I would say what it has to do with is, again, that they're selling their souls and they're connected to these families that have sold their souls for their fame on the world stage and all that comes with it. And because they've made these commitments and they have these numerical connections, this is the way it unfolds. I mean, that's a possible theory, but again, it does look a lot more nefarious. And just to close out, again, let's close out this way. Let's again look at the movie poster for Murder by Numbers starring Sandra Bullock. Again, they changed the E to the 3, the B to the D. You know that's not organic. Somebody who's aware of the code put that there. Murder has that Gematria 38 and 83. The song Murder by Numbers by The Police came out in 83. The name Sandra Bullock, who stars in the movie, is 83. Notice that movie came out on the very important Jesuit day, April 19th, the day Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, became the first superior general of the Jesuit order. Notice from Sandra Bullock's birthday to that movie's release was 38 weeks and a day. And she had just turned 37, meaning she was in her 38th year of life when that movie released. It came out just a little before her 38th birthday. Again, when you turn 37, you begin your 38th year of life. I know that hangs up a lot of people, but again, when you're born, do you begin your 0th year of life or do you begin your first year of life? Of course, you begin your first year and then you turn 1 and you begin your second year of life. But again, killing, death, RIP, big numbers here. Gematria, English, Kabbalah, they're all 38, Jew 38. Look at that movie poster again. The orange 7, the orange 9 surround the words. Run it forwards. Murder is 79. Agatha Christie has the novel The ABC Murders, which is 79 and 56, like Society of Jesus. Talking about the latest murder ritual on the big Jesuit day, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. Again, is the Astros win their second World Series, who won their last in their 56th season, which was connected to weather warfare. Now the ritual gets set up perfectly on this day because of the rained out game in Philadelphia. You know what happened out here in Washington State on November 5th? We had a massive windstorm, and from talking to people in the area, they said that might be the worst windstorm they've ever seen. I woke up with a porta potty in my driveway. I've never had that happen in my life. It's because it's a new construction neighborhood, and they're building a house down the street, and the porta potty blew all the way down the street to my house. Only on remember the 5th of November. And with regards to the organic side, you guys remember what happened to me last year on November 12th, which is the Superior General's birthday, the leader of the Jesuits? I had to have a plumber come out that day because my whole front yard was flooded because the pipe under the house broke. And when the plumber looked at it, he couldn't understand the way the pipe broke. He said he'd never seen anything like that in his life. He said, this break doesn't make any sense to me. He said, I can't figure this one out. He said, this is bizarre. And I just thought, that's weird, you know. Who's the guy calling out the Jesuits more than anyone in the world? It's probably yours truly. And on the Superior General's birthday, I in the middle of the night, we got water flowing all over. I've flooded the streets. You know, it wasn't fun because it was a freezing cold day. It wasn't quite cold enough to freeze, but it was right there. It was probably like hovering at 33, 34 degrees, having to deal with a huge water mess. So, anyway. Look into weather warfare, not to mention the first act of weather warfare was admitted to in 1952 on August 15th, the Jesuit order's birthday. Go figure. Go figure. So, okay. If you guys got here late, hit the rewind, check it out, and make sure you're subscribed to all the channels because I got to shuffle them through the suspensions. Gematria Effect 22, 23, 24, 25, Gematria Effect Sports. We'll be using all of those channels. If you ever feel like supporting the work, there are a number of ways to donate. By the way, if you guys want to read my books, you can get them in ebook or print form. The ebooks are on my website, gematriaeffect.news. You can buy them. They're $5 each. I appreciate everyone who supports the work. $5 isn't much for the power of the knowledge within those books. But then again, for all the young people out there or the people who don't have $5, I do make them free to download. If you go to that top pin post on my website, again, gematriaeffect.news, you'll see the download the ebooks for free link. And thank you. Again, since I've started marketing them for free, I've had almost no books sold, which is okay. But again, you guys, I do want to start rapidly putting out children's books. The downside of doing that is it's expensive because I don't have a publisher. I have to self-publish. And again, it costs a good chunk of change to self-publish. I've been able to self-publish thanks to the people who support the work. So I would like to see more support come in. Support's gone down drastically this year, despite, you know, the work never stopping, pounding more pavement across the nation than ever. I think the reason it's gone down is because things are super expensive this year. So I do get that. But for everyone who can afford to donate $1 a month, again, your dollar makes a huge difference. More people donate $1 a month, it would make a huge difference. Or if you can afford to donate more than that, thank you. But again, $1 a month is a monster contribution. I know a lot of you guys, you hear it and you think, what's $1 going to do? If you think $1's nothing, donate what you think would do something. You know, you can donate more than $1. But I just always make the point, if there were 1 million people, let's say, donating $1 a month, we'd have about $1 million in revenue to do a lot of big things. And we should have that kind of revenue for the power of this knowledge and all the people I've helped out in the world and how much people's bankrolls have swollen. Again, there should be a lot greater support for this work. It deserves more support because this is the knowledge to change the world. Literally. And this world does need to change. Yeah, and when you invest in me, you invest in someone that has a pair that can go and confront a crowd of 1,000 people like it's nothing. If you guys missed this footage right here, you should go back and watch that because that's how it's done right there. That's how it's done right there. And I don't see too many people in the world showing up at rallies of people that are trying to sell this nation down the tube and putting them in their place. Needs to happen a lot more, but it takes resources to travel, you guys. And what was sad is I still remember the day I did this live stream and was out there for 6 hours. There were $20 in donations through the whole 6-hour live stream, you know? So anyway, it's not about the money. It is about changing the world, but it does take resources. And like I said, I got plans to self-publish a lot of books because I think this children's book idea is the ticket. But again, it's going to be an expensive ticket unless a publisher comes out of the woodwork and says they want to do it for me. And by the way, shout out to Mr. Scott, who's always around for a $10 donation. I appreciate it, Mr. Scott. He says, hope you've been well with the move and everything. By the way, you guys, I'm totally done with the moving. It finally finished on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year. Go figure. So he says, hope you've been well with the move and everything. When LeBron wore the number 42 hat, my friends called me and said you was right about him. I've been explaining to them about the numbers for months. Glad they finally get it. And for people who don't know what he's talking about, watch this. Oh, come on. Pull up the right article with the picture. Let's see if this one will have it. If you guys didn't see LeBron getting on and apologizing for Kyrie, come on, man. Of course, they had to do it with a number 42 hat on his head. The image is out there. I do want to find the picture. Again, for people who are new here, LeBron James equals 42. So does slavery. So does the N-word. So does Tuskegee. So does February Black History Month. So does Jackie. So does a million things connected to Black history. They had to put LeBron out in front of the cameras, in front of the mic, apologizing for Kyrie with a big fat 42 on his head. Okay. Well, yesterday when this story broke, that was the first thing I saw. Maybe they know people are catching on, so they switched up the image. Hopefully you guys saw it already too. And I didn't think it was going to be this hard to find the picture. This is the kind of stuff that makes me think, though, that people are catching on right here. This is what makes me think. And if you guys missed what I just said about Kyrie, and again, why did Kyrie have to get suspended on November 3rd? Why did that happen, you guys? How many years? Again, you could read this book right here and understand it in a second. You could read this guy who made it into a shorter book with this cover and understand it in a second right here. Here's an old post from years ago. Old post from years ago. Bava Kamal 113a, which comes from the Talmud, which is Jewish. Jews may use lies to circumvent a Gentile, and just so they don't think I'm taking it out of context. Again, that's only true within a legal setting, but ask yourself, where are you not in a legal setting? Where in this world are you not in a legal setting? Is there somewhere I can go in this world where I'm not in a legal setting? Pretty sure. Is there a certain place I can go and again, where, like, just seriously, where am I not in a legal setting? So anyway, and the Talmud, it says, as long as you're in a legal setting, it's okay for Jews to lie to people who aren't Jewish. And again, 113, mainstream, dishonest, perverted, not true, not honest, not factual, disinfo, politics, perjury, fiction, bullshit, infidelity, divorce, sinister, erroneous, and, green screen, George Lucas, the master of the green screen. If you've never seen this film, first film, THX 1138, you should watch that one. Piltdown, the first deception, the first proof of evolution that after 41 years, and again, this is why you got to know Gematria forwards and backwards. 41 years, Piltdown man was used to prove evolution. After 41 years, it was admitted to as a lie. And not only was it proof of evolution, it was taught in school for 41 years that it was proof of why white people were superior to everyone else, because the oldest evolved person in the world was white from the United Kingdom. Okay. O.J. Simpson, Ron Goldman, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dear Basketball, Kobe's retirement poem, Utah Jazz, the only 113 team. Remember coronavirus. This post right here is from April 23rd, the 113th day of the year in 2017, because it's also YouTube's birthday, which likes to take people down for telling the truth. See, I find that real funny now that YouTube's birthday is the 113th day of the year, and I'm constantly getting taken down for misinformation, even though all I'm saying is 100% million verifiable facts. And then on YouTube, it's full of probably ooze who don't show their face, who are slandering me and lying about me, Wish some more people would step up and make some nice videos about how much I've helped them out in their life, because I know there's thousands of people who can do that, but they don't really make videos. They kind of just watch YouTube videos. Anyway, again, we've always been documenting 113 and the NBA. And remember, from the Harlem Globetrotters to the NBA, it's ooze that control black men. And in the Old Testament, the oldest Jew is a black person, which is what Kyrie Irving's in trouble for pointing out. God forbid you tell the truth. But anyway, remember, Kobe played his last game against Utah. Coronavirus pandemic equals 113. It was blamed on the Utah Jazz player, Rudy Gobert, on what day? March 11th, 11/3, as the coronavirus pandemic was declared. You start to look at who's behind these pharmaceutical companies. It's a whole lot of ooze. You know what I mean? So And there was even more to it. I mean, you guys can go back and watch the video I did on Kyrie. The whole thing was a perfect ritual. The video he posted was a perfect ritual. Look, here's how it was. Hebrews to Negroes. Oops, I forgot the S. Hebrews to Negroes. You see how it's 81 forwards and backwards? The day he posted it had 81 date numerology. Then 2 days later, the front page was that it was anti-Semitism, which equals 83, and it had an 83 date numerology. And then he was suspended on November 3rd. It's just, and by the way, it was Halloween that the ESPN front page was about his anti-Semitism. And I mean, it's like, okay, he posted essentially what's a historical fact, and then again, you guys, that's we live in an upside down world. The truth or lies, and if you don't go along with the lies,
the truth is the lies, man. That's what y'all listening to him, man. Pay attention. This is what I was saying, like the Gematria stuff, right?
I think I also forgot to point out that Obama was speaking in Philly on the day leaving 56 days left in the year as the winner of the 56th presidential election. And then you get a mass shooting.
And don't know, the mass shooting.
On the day the Phillies go down in the World Series. And by the way, there were a lot more riddles with the World Series. Like, notice coming into the game, the Phillies were 11-5 in the postseason before they lost on 11-5. And 11-5 is a lot like 115. And remember, the Nationals beat the Astros in the 115th World Series, something we also nailed before the postseason was yet, making a lot of money for a lot of people. But remember, Bryce Harper got traded from the Nationals to the Phillies that year, and he misspoke at the beginning of the year. And he said, I want to help the Nationals win the World Series this year in his first press conference with the Phillies. And people thought he misspoke, but do you think he really misspoke, or do you think he was just doing what he was told to say, dropping a clue for who was going to win the World Series that year? So again, 115th World Series, won by the Nationals over the Astros. Now Bryce Harper's on the Phillies. He's down, or his team's 11-5 in the postseason, playing on 11-5 as the Astros now beat Bryce Harper's Phillies and overcome losing in the last two World Series they participated in. And again, like I said, the only other World Series they won was the 113th. This year they made it to the World Series with their 113th win, and then they took over the series on 11/3. And the Eagles also won that night.
Pay attention to the numbers, y'all. Use them numbers I'm talking about. You feel me? These Gematria numbers I'm talking about that equals to these deaths,
points against the team they beat
that they don't want us to know about, gang. Pay attention, man. Sure this shit hit the like button coming in.
And let's not forget when the Nationals beat Houston in the World Series, that night the Houston Rockets were playing the Washington Wizards, and we won on both our picks that night. We had Houston Rockets to beat the Wizards, and we had the Nationals to win the World Series. Big money. And Mike D'Antoni, who was the coach of the Rockets, he got his career win number that was the 115th prime number as the Nationals won the 115th World Series. And the Rockets scored 159 points that night. Here, Donald Trump took office with the 115th Congress. The night the Nationals won the 115th World Series in D.C., it was 138 days after Trump's birthday. They threw 159 pitches, and the Rockets scored 159 points. Donald Trump, 138, 159, coming back for the 60th presidential election. Donald Trump also 48 like Cleveland at his 2016 convention in Cleveland. Cleveland, the only president to ever have a split term. And don't forget what happened this past year on July 14th, 60 weeks after the Ignatian year began. Donald Trump's wife dies falling down the stairs. He hints that he's coming back for the 60th presidential election. And conservatives put out a report against Trump based on 60 cases. Again, you guys, it's all scripted. And people are, that's what's maddening about America. That's why I do this, because everyone is so taken by the lies. Everyone is so taken by lies. They're so invested in the sports. They're so invested in the elections. And it's all just one big script, one big mockery, one big, and it just keeps coming. So anyhow, Shout out to A. Nate Robinson, longtime veteran of the community, another guy who you guys should follow. Get on his Twitter. He's putting out the picks, doing great work with the knowledge. And he said, we knew the Astros became 11-2 in the playoffs. Houston won 12. And then he says they're now 6-5 in playoffs all time against Phillies as well. And that date, November 5th, again, the reflection. And don't forget that we call 65 the Philadelphia number. Philadelphia 65. They won the first game of the World Series 6-5. Philadelphia established on the day, leaving 65 days left in the year. When they clinched the playoffs, it was Rob Thompson's 65th win of the season, because he didn't coach the whole season. Remember the year the Eagles won it? We said in week 3 why'd be Eagles Patriots. We said they'd start the year 10-1. Philadelphia 2-2-3. See the 65-2-2-3? Minute Maid Park, where the Astros play, is 65-2-2-3.
Yeah, them numbers.
And look at this. Astros World Series MVP. Whoops.
Look, y'all, pay attention.
Jeremy Pena. Let me pull him up here real quick. Jeremy Pena, September 22nd birthday, 25 years old, born in 97, the 25th prime. Carter 97, dead before the game. But his name, numbers. Jeremy Juan Pena. Hold on. Well, maybe somebody gave me some bad intel. Somebody might have gave me some bad intel.
Oh, Lord, I hate bad intel.
Somebody left a comment. I wanted to check it out real quick. Some of you guys, I don't know if you guys purposely leave bad comments or what, but somebody said his name equaled 223, the World Series MVP. Doesn't look like it's true, but anyway, it is interesting how Philadelphia and Houston both have that connection through the same number. Jeremy Pena does. Maybe that's what they meant to write. Maybe they meant to write 112 like Houston, like how they became 11-2 in the postseason. And also, again, you guys got here late. Houston became 11-2 in the postseason. Phillies picked up their 31st road loss in the postseason, and Houston won their 77th all-time postseason game. And then again, they won 3-2 to take a 3-2 lead on the night of the NFL game, the league with 32 teams for NFL's 32. But the 158 stands out to me because Aaron Carter was found dead by his girlfriend 158 days after her birthday. And again, the Jesuits credit on 15/8, and Guy Fawkes Day for the Jesuits is November 5th. All right. Shout out to Itachi. Itachi's done wonders with the knowledge since he learned about it after Kobe's death. Phillies fell to 10-13 at home in World Series, 1,013 days from Kobe's death. And that was on November 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Aaron Carter seems synced up with Hank Aaron and Whitney Houston. Good observation. Yeah, good observation. Kent Wood says from July 16th, 45 to February 23rd, 2023 is exactly 77 years, 7 months, and 7 days. That was the date of the first atomic bomb test in New Mexico. Okay, interesting. 54th day of the year. Okay, very interesting. So, and Mr. Scott came in with another super chat. When you're speaking the truth on this platform, they try to make it out like you're the bad guy, and especially when you're exposing you know who. Indeed, I appreciate that times 2, Mr. Scott. And again, for temporarily, we've been reinstated for monetization on Gematria Effect News 25. But yeah, it is frustrating being censored all these times, all these years, because all I've ever done is speak truth. I should have never lost a single video. They should all be.
What's crazy is I had to do a video myself on this, and like I said, I hope my shit don't get censored or took down or nothing, because the motherfucker do be popping out that truth game. But if y'all look at these numbers and how he doing them, he running that shit, man, and a lot of it makes sense. A lot of it make a lot of sense, man. You know, I just was talking to y'all about the Aaron Carter shit yesterday on the live, and I'm like, wow. I'm talking about, dude, when you pay attention to these numbers, it actually make a lot of sense on what he's saying. He ain't lying, and I wonder why would they block you, because they don't want a motherfucker to know this information, huh? Yeah, it sounds about right. They don't want nobody to get to this information. They don't want us to see this information for what it really is. and we peeping that. Like I said, so you two don't go flagging my shit. Don't do no bullshit like that, man. Let motherfucker get this information out here, gang.
I'll be up here, and it would be an amazing track record. We probably have well over a million subscribers by now. So there was once upon a time where I did get a lot of views. And you know, it's like right now, I'm streaming on 3 channels, and there's 750 people who stream between 3 channels. Back in the day, I used to be able to hop on a live stream, and there'd be at least 2,000 people in the room on a channel who got notifications and views. So we've still been able to maintain a presence, but again, thank you to everyone who stays active on the channel and seeks out the live streams when they're on in the videos, because most people don't get any notifications, and somehow they just forget about the channel, which is exactly what YouTube wants. But again, thank you to the people who stay active, who share the work, and thank you to all the people who support the work. And again, several ways to support. It's linked in the description of nearly every video. Thank you to everyone who does it. Until next time, True Seeker.
Like how he was popping that shit though, man. That Gematria shit. What's up? The Gematria, man. That's crazy because, like I said, it actually it shows, you know, it shows the shit that's going on out here, gang, in the world. It shows like what motherfuckers really be dodging, the truth. You know, the truth behind these artists and these celebrities' deaths. My thing is this though, man. Like, I don't understand why would they try to block that. They take it down for a motherfucker to not see. And and I've been telling people for a while that Gematria shit is crazy. I should have actually caught him at the beginning of the what's the name? Let me go back and see if I can go to the beginning of this video though. He did say rewind it. So let me see, gang. Cause the shit was wild, right? Let me see. Now here it is. Okay, let me pop this back up though. Bam. Let's see. Let's see what we got. You know, straight from the top, right? Yeah, because I'm talking about dog. He was dropping some news. Let me see this. What's this?
Source.
Yeah, this is what I want to see right here, man. He was live, y'all, so I had to catch it how it was. He was popping though, you know. He was popping. Look.
All right, welcome back, Truce.
Right away.
Seeker. Want to talk about the death of Aaron Carter, found dead in the bathtub.
And I don't know if y'all know who Aaron Carter is.
Remember the 5th of November, the day the Houston Astros won the World Series.
Pay attention.
And I want to parallel that with
like
the death of his sister from 10 years earlier, who died in New York right before the New York Giants won the Super Bowl. And this will be a very familiar pattern if you watched this past Wednesday's TFR episode where I spoke with Rambo and about ritual sacrifice for the Super Bowl on January 31st in regards to Ray Lewis. We'll also talk about how on the same day Philadelphia lost to Houston, there was reportedly a mass shooting in Philadelphia. They had to report 9 wounded, 5 critically on the big Jesuit day, Guy Fawkes Day, November 5th, when the Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses. Of course, I was talking about this pattern last year with the World Series. The year before that, I wrote a book where in that book, I talk about baseball and the number 95. If you recall last year, on Halloween, which is the day the 95 Theses was pinned, which began the formation of the Jesuits, you might recall the Braves lost 9-5 last year on Halloween. Exactly 9,500.
Y'all hear them numbers? Listen to them numbers, man.
We'll also talk about
numbers is a motherfucker.
Philadelphia on this day, the daily.
Hey, y'all remember that song? Gotti made men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't.
Presidential election. Of course, the Astros also won the World Series in their 56th season. That was the season after the flooding of Harvey. So let's bring all this together. Aaron Carter's death the day Houston wins the World Series, in parallel with his sister's death, Leslie Carter, right before the Giants won Super Bowl 46. In this case, the Astros have appeared in 4 of the last 6 World Series, and the World Series was set 199 days after the MLB season began, the 46th prime number. But we'll start right here with Aaron Carter's death at age 34. Again, if you're new here, I've been teaching the same thing every day for going on a decade now, proving how sports are rigged, people are ritually sacrificed for these championships, and how certain number patterns persist again and again.
Did y'all hear the boy? He said
a
ritual sacrifice
is so often part of the code.
He said a ritual sacrifice.
The short video I uploaded last night to Gematria Effect Sports. The World Series was set 199 days after the MLB season began, the 46th prime number. But we'll start right here with Aaron Carter's death at age 34. Again, if you're new here, I've been teaching the same thing every day for going on a decade now, proving how sports are rigged, people are ritually sacrificed for these championships. And
come on now, guys. I've been saying that. I've told y'all that.
I also talk about how revelation is so often part of the code.
Hit that like button too. Hit that like and subscribe.
The video I uploaded last night to Gematria Effect Sports. Again, it was the anniversary of the Astro World tragedy in Houston, the day the Astros win it. Remember last year, you had the Astros lose to the Braves. Then you had the Astro World tragedy. And then the next day you had Astro of the group UB40 dead. And if you look from the day the Astro World album came out, August 3rd, 2018, to the Astros winning the World Series last night, it was their 666th total game, regular season and postseason. They win it in Game 6, 666, taught about in Revelation. Revelation is the church of Philadelphia who gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan, the Astros beat Philadelphia.
Come on now.
Travis Scott has the same birthday as the Church of Satan, April 30th. Again, none of this stuff's an accident. It's because the same you-know-who's, the same people named in the letter to the Church of Philadelphia, the false Jews who claim to be Jews but are liars but are the synagogue of Satan, as it's written in Revelation. Again, that's the people who control the world of entertainment. As we've been saying this entire time, they're also the same people who practice Gematria, which comes from Jewish mysticism, Kabbalah, where it's stated that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. And remember, not all people have the same idea of who their
it's crazy.
For some, their God is Satan. Anyhow, Aaron Carter is dead at age 34. And we just talked about this pattern with Takeoff, who died in Houston before Houston won the World Series. If you missed that video, it was at the beginning of the week. He died November 1st, 2022, a date with 34 numerology. He had his Rocket album, which was 38 minutes long. Notice in Gematria, murder equals 34 when you run the alphabetical order forwards, 38 when you run the alphabetical order reverse.
Right.
In this case, Nick Carter's dead at 34, and he's dead on a 38-date numerology. Again, if you're new here, the way this works is you just use the alphabetical order and numerology. So M is the 13th letter of the alphabet. The numerology of 13 is 4. So M becomes 4. U is the 21st letter. The numerology of 21 is 2 plus 1 is 3. So U becomes 3. R the 18th letters. 1 plus 8 is 9. You just make each letter a single-digit number. So D is the 4th letter. E is the 5th. R becomes 9 again. 4 plus 3 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 30. If you run the alphabetical order,
y'all gotta understand that math what they're getting doing.
Numerology adds up that way. Dead at 34 on the 38.
Hit that like button though.
They say, you know, he was found dead in the bathtub, probably drowned. Gematria, 38.
Oh, that sound familiar. That drowning shit sound familiar, y'all, like the Whitney Houston shit. You feel me? Y'all can't tell me that. I don't sound like no Whitney Houston shit, man. And then I think Bobby daughter died like that too, gang. Come on, man. Come on, put this shit together, y'all. Put this shit together. Hey, I know you two might flag a nigga shit for this though, but hit that like button while we in here and share this video. Get the subscribes up, gang. Let's get my motherfucking subscribers up. Let's run it up. But listen, y'all heard him? That bathtub drowning.
as well as a rapper.
Look.
A lot of the news is emphasizing him as a rapper because that's how he finished his career. But like we just talked about with Takeoff and so many others, rapper has the Gematria 38 and 34. And this is why Jonathan can't finish his book, 38 Special, about dead rappers, because it just keeps happening. It's the same reason I have trouble finishing my books, because it's so hard when you're trying to write a book that includes history up to the present, and it just keeps happening day after day. I've ran into the same scenario with two books I've put out.
Thank you for telling me.
But as for bathtub and killing, if you're new here, Gematria is based on the alpha.
Hey, crazy, because thank you for that message about the echo. Crazy, because they probably trying to stop my shit though, low key. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna have to just try to make it a little better, gang. But y'all see these numbers. Pay attention to the numbers, y'all.
Forwards and backwards, and forwards and backwards with the rules numerology. And the first book that I had put out is this one, Letters and Numbers. And it is this big. And there's a chapter in here that's 150 pages alone. It's about the death of celebrities by this code. And it's taught the exact same way. And I talk about Jim Morrison's death in the bathtub. I talk about Whitney Houston's death in the bathtub. I talk about the death of Jim Morrison's girlfriend who found him in the bathtub. And in this case, the girlfriend of Aaron Carter, or I should say the fiance, finds him in the bathtub. But notice, with the alphabetic order, bathtub is 74. With the reverse alphabetic order, bathtub is 115. And think about what day Aaron Carter's found dead in the bathtub. November 5th, 115. If you look into the death of Jim Morrison's girlfriend, who found Jim Morrison in the bathtub, she died April 25th, the 115th day of the year, in the year 74. Same patterns over and over. And notice how bathtub overlaps with killing. The exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. So again, you have the alphabetic order with the rules numerology, the reverse alphabetic order with the rules numerology. In that reverse cipher where bathtub and killing are 43, so is the surname Carter. In that same cipher, Carter is 43. Of course, that's the reflection of 34, his age of death. And as for him dying on remember the 5th of November, the day that's very important to the Jesuit order, who was founded in Paris, France. Remember, that's where Jim Morrison died, who kind of started this trend of dying in the bathtub as a singer. Paris, France has Gematria 56, like Society of Jesus, like November 5th leaves 56 days left in the year.
I think another thing, too, people don't want to take their time and break down these numbers, man. I don't think like half of the community or the population got time to break down these numbers, though. But somebody did. Shout out to Zachary K. Hubbard. Shout out to you, gang. You know what I'm saying? I was on your shit making a vid on live. I had to, but somebody did, though. And it makes a lot of sense, dog, because a motherfucker been saying this for years. They came out with a movie about this types of shit, man. So y'all just pay attention, man. I'm telling you, black folks definitely wake up. Wake up. Let's get our heads out our ass and wake up for real, man. Because this shit is deep.
Keep in mind words like rapper, Gematria, English, killing, occult, Masonic, Lucifer. They all have Gematria 74. Very special number we talk about a lot. Go back and watch my coverage in Buffalo at the site of the top shooting, which happened on Israel's 74th birthday, where I said many years in advance, just wait for the day of Israel's 74th birthday. You'll see a very terrible tragedy. And anyhow, understand, these patterns happen all the time. Here's Jim Morrison's girlfriend who found him in the bathtub again, dead on the 115th day of 74. Jim Morrison found in Paris, France. By the way, also interesting, Jim Morrison was found dead on the day leaving 181 days left in the year. Houston, Texas equals 181 in light of the Astros winning the World Series. Mattress Mac equals 181, who supposedly had a $75 million bet on the Astros. He finally won one because he's been losing them year after year. And that's just assuming it's even true. I can almost guarantee you it's all BS by the numbers, because look at in Gematria what happens. Houston Astros equals 51 forwards, 75 in reverse, just like Aaron Carter is 51 and 75. And for the person out there who would say, well, what about his full name, Aaron Charles Carter? Even better. Aaron Charles Carter equals 117 like Major League Baseball, and the Houston Astros picked up their 117th win of the season, winning the World Series. And it should remind you of November 7th, 2017, not that far back, when Roy Halladay, the two-time Cy Young winner, supposedly died in a plane crash on 117 just off the coast of Holiday, Florida. Roy Halladay. So Aaron Charles Carter dead the day the Astros win the World Series as they pick up their 117th win of the season. And notice his birthday is Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th, 127. 127 is the 31st prime number. Again, I want you to understand why you have to know the base ciphers and how they're all important. Houston, look at the Gematria, 112. Yesterday, the Astros became 11-2 in the postseason for this year. 11-2, like 112. Remember, Takeoff put out his only solo album, Like a Rocket, on November 2nd, 112, and then ends up dying one day before the 4-year anniversary of that album, dead in Houston with Quavo, who was 31 years old. With regards to 31, the Phillies yesterday picked up their 31st postseason loss all time in the playoffs on the road. And, right after Takeoff died, the Astros fell to 3-1 on the road in this year's postseason. As for the 77, the Astros last night picked up their 77th all-time postseason win. And you see how Houston's 32 as well? I want you to notice that NFL's 32, so is America, so is Scottish. The 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite shares the motto Ad Merum Dei Gloriam with the Jesuits. The Scottish Rite of Freemasonry was created by the Jesuit order. Again, November 5th is their special day. But again, with regards to NFL and Houston equaling 32, think about it. Houston took a 3-2 lead in the World Series, winning the game 3-2 on the night that Thursday Night Football in the NFL, the Phillies and the Texans played each other. Philadelphia and Houston. Thursday Night Football, that just happened to be the game out of the World Series where Houston takes a 3-2 lead. Every year we're showing these cross-sport scripts. This was the 118th World Series this year. The Philadelphia Flyers last night, the team they defeated, they picked up their 118th points. In hockey, you have points in addition to wins, losses. They picked up their 118th points all time against that opponent the night that Houston wins the 118th World Series. And again, think about this. They won 4-1 last night. If you write out 41, it equals 118. Remember, I've taught this lesson a million times. George Herbert Walker Bush equals 118. He was number 41. The last time anyone saw him in public, it was when the Astros won the 113th World Series. By the way, the Astros won this year on November 3rd, and they clinched the World Series with their 113th win. But remember, the word ossuary is also 118. Skull and Bones, who George Herbert Walker Bush, number 41, was a member of, they get their symbolism from an ossuary, how the Knights Templar bury their dead. And, of course, the Templar cross and the Jesuit logo, and all roads lead to Rome because the Templars and the Jesuits serve the Catholic Church. And remember, Skull and Bones is 41. And remember, the Bush family has connections to both the Rangers and the Astros. So that's why you get the 4-1 win in the 118th World Series to finish it off. If you run it the other way, Aaron Charles Carter, we just talked about how it's 117. If you run it the other way, it's 81. And last night was 81 days after the new Phillies manager's birthday, Rob Thompson. 81 days after his birthday, and the Phillies picked up their 81st loss of the season last night. If you're new here, we call that the ritual number. Ritual equals 81 forwards and backwards. It also equals 27. Yesterday's game was exactly 27 weeks after Travis Scott's 31st birthday, Mr. Houston, right? And think about 81. It has a square root of 9. 9 represents completion. Baseball's a game of 9 innings. A perfect inning for a pitcher is 9 strikes in 3 outs. Rarely happens. Very rare phenomenon in baseball. But again, this is why you got to run it forwards and backwards. And when I first started this study, I didn't understand reverse gematria. It was after doing it for 3 years that I realized by running the alphabetic order in reverse, it was the other half of the code. And it's amazing in 2022, you still have people making videos about me saying, Zach uses 4 ciphers to prove his points. I prove my point every single day and back it up with accurate predictions, forecasting elections, news, sports for a decade straight. Okay. If you're going against me, you're going to be proven wrong. Understand that. By the way, Aaron Carter's last album was Love. Now, love's an interesting word. Notice how love has the gematria of 54 forwards and backwards and 18 forwards and backwards. That goes with baseball. Baseball's 54 and 18, also 54 and 162. And take a look at what day that album came out. It came out on February 16th, 16/2. Remember, Major League Baseball with the alphabetic order is 162, like there's 162 games in a season. Again, the word baseball, when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, is 162. His life ends up ending the day the World Series is decided. I want to make another point. The word homicide. Homicide. We need the Jewish gematria cipher. Well, Derek's recently changed the name to Latin gematria, but it's Jewish gematria. Homicide equals 118 in that cipher. So does death, right? 118. And that matters because it's a number highly connected with killing. So is the number 46. And we're about to talk about his sister's death right before the Giants won Super Bowl 46. You see how sacrifice is 46 in that same cipher? So is Houston, Texas, who again has been in 4 of the last 6 World Series. Don't forget 46-year-old George Floyd from Houston. But his last album, Love, came out 56 months and days before the World Series is decided on the day, leaving 56 days left in the year. Again, big number with the Jesuits. From his own birthday, December 7th, to his death, 333 days later. His brother, who was in the Backstreet Boys, and here's the weird thing about me, or for me. Yesterday morning, I was driving, and we were listening to the 90s on 9 on Sirius, and they had the Backstreet Boys on. Sweet Lady's favorite channel is called Mosaic, Channel 15. So we switched it over to Channel 15 because the Backstreet Boys were on the 90s on 9, and I don't like to listen to the Backstreet Boys. But then we go to Channel 15, and the Backstreet Boys are on there. And I said to Sweet Lady, I said, you know what I've noticed? They're playing a lot of Backstreet Boys music, it seems like, more than normal on 90s on 9 and your channel. I said, are they coming back or something right now? And then hours later in the day, the headline breaks that Aaron Carter, the little brother of Nick Carter, is dead. And I've noticed this so many times with Sirius XM. You'll see a boost in somebody's radio play, and then all of a sudden they're dead. And I'm like, see, I knew they were playing their music way more than normal. And I forget Spock's name from Star Trek. I can't remember that actor's name right now. Is it Leonard Nimoy? But it was also a Sirius XM thing. I was flipping through all the comedy channels one night, and every single comedy channel was talking about Leonard Nimoy, like an interview with Leonard Nimoy, somebody else talking about their experience. I was like, why is Leonard Nimoy on every channel? And then the next morning, I wake up, and the headline is that Leonard Nimoy is dead.
Yep.
And I'm sure this stuff's happened a million times, even long before I was aware of this. You know, his sister died in 2012. I learned gematria the next year. But what's funny about it, his brother's born January 28th, the day we had the bridge collapse in Pennsylvania. Remember, bridge collapse equals 128, like Fern Hollow's 128, and the synagogue that had the shooting there right after they had the active shooter drill. It was 128 weeks after the shooting at the synagogue that was right next to where the bridge collapsed. Anyway, that was Pennsylvania as well. And if you guys missed my work on that, I showed how it foreshadowed the Queen's near death. I showed how... Well, it showed a lot of things. Anyway, all of these rituals are connected, you guys. It's all one big ongoing strip. But his brother's birthday can be written 28/1, like 281. From his brother's birthday to the death was 281 days later, which is the 60th prime number, and both the words police and order equal 60. Remember, the band Police put out the song Murder by Numbers, where killing's as simple as ABC 1, 2, 3. And you got to wonder how there's always some 911 call. The neighbor suspected something. How would the neighbor suspect something was wrong if somebody drowned in the bathtub? That would be a pretty silent death. I imagine
exactly. And that's the same thing they said with Takeoff. They said, the neighbors heard it or something like that. Come on.
These stories never make sense if you really think about it. You know, maybe after a few days go by and no one's seen Aaron Carter, then knocking on the door, nobody's answering, the car's in the driveway. nobody can hear from him. Then I could understand a few days later. But to find out that it happened that morning around 11, go back and watch the movie Rosemary's Baby about selling your soul to the devil and how everything in that movie is 11, 11, 11, 11, 11. It's because the word beast is 11. And Bob Dylan, he told us all on 60 Minutes years ago. That's how you make it in the industry. You got to sell your soul. You want to be a Backstreet Boy? It kind of goes with the Noriega joke, right? Or not really. Back before Noriega was on his knees, he was talking about the only way to stay relevant in the industry was either, become a Backstreet Boy, if you know what I mean, take it up the back street. Ice Cube's got a song about it, No Vaseline, or you're sacrificing the people around. But Nick Carter's also the magical age of 42. Jesuit equals 42, as does Freemason, as does the first Jesuit University, Georgetown. Again, this happens on the big Jesuit day. You could also say it was 84 days before his upcoming birthday, where Jesuit also equals 84. It equals 42 and 84. His upcoming birthday is going to be 43, like Carter's 43, like Killing's 43, like Bathtub's 43, like RIP's 43. And let's not forget that Whitney Houston was found dead in the bathtub on the 42nd day of the year, on her 187th day of her age, where Society of Jesus equals 187. Big number with the Scottish Rite and the Jesuits. Again, the Jesuits and the Masons. Modern Freemasonry, a Jesuit creation. Again, they say it was Melanie Martin who found him dead. This came 158 days after her birthday. The Jesuits created on 15/8 in Paris, France. Freemasonry also has that Gematria 158. And again, around 11 a.m. They got to tell you around 11 a.m. We see that so often. Sometimes 11 p.m., 11 a.m. They just got to get their 11s in there. So he clearly dies for the Astros World Series. And again, in this book, I explain it, Number Games. In this book, I explain it, the ritual sacrifices when sports championships come around. And somebody took my chapter out of the big book about rig sports and turned it into this little book that looks like a children's book. And if I'm not mistaken, they sell this on eBay. I've given plenty of people permission to sell my work. I got all kinds of haters, but who else in the world gives away their work for free like I always have and has allowed other people to take my work and put their own creative, like this touch, like making this cover? Who else in the world allows people to do this? I've allowed a lot of people to sell my money off it, So anyway, my work's always been about helping other people out and exposing evil. That's what I think you're supposed to do in the world. If everybody was doing what I was doing, I can guarantee you this would be a lot better world. Okay, now Leslie Carter. Leslie Carter, again, dies in New York on January 31st, 131, Super Bowl 131. And 5 days before the Giants win the Super Bowl, she's dead at age 25. Now, I'm teaching about this all the time. In the most pure cipher, if I can type, Giants equals 25. To get rid of Jewish Gematria for a second. Let's have the base ciphers up there. Again, Giants 25, right? It's also got the 38 like death. Notice the name Carter is 97 as well, which is the 25th prime number. And notice how death is 97 and 5. Talked about that pattern so many times. Tupac and beyond. But she dies at 25 right before the Giants win the Super Bowl. The day she died, January 31st, 2012, that was the date that had numerology of 44 and 64. And when that date numerology rolls up, there's a dead celebrity every month because the word kill has Gematria of 44 and 64. Well, notice in the most pure cipher, New York Giants is 64. Okay? And if you go back and listen to this last Wednesday night show, Rambo was going back and looking at the deaths connected to Ray Lewis and his Super Bowl. And I pointed out, I interrupted him and I said, there must be some kind of connection with 131 and 52 I don't understand yet, because the coach of the Eagles who won Super Bowl 52, Doug Peterson, his birthday is also January 31st. In this case, this woman, Leslie Carter, she died 239 days after her birthday, which is the 52nd prime number. And again, go watch the Wednesday night show. We were talking about these same numbers, 52, 239, 131. So the same exact thing happened to her right before the Giants won the Super Bowl. And do you know how she died? She slipped and fell in the shower. So she dies in the shower. Her brother dies in the bathtub. These are some serious coincidences. And by the way, just look at the Gematria shower, 34. Interesting, right? In the same cipher, murder is 34. Again, shower 34. Also 29. Look at Carter, 29. Again, bathtub 43. Carter 43. Again, these people are putting these riddles together. The numbers got to fit for the ritual in the Kabbalistic practice of Gematria, where there's a song, Gematria, the Killing Name.
I told y'all.
Her debut single came out in 2001. She's dead in 2012, 11 years later. You see? I just out of curiosity, I'm going to go. I didn't even look into her single. I just made the parallel with dying right before the sports championship, just like her brother. Her brother also died hours before. In her case, it was 5 days before the Giants, the 25 team win. What's the square root of 25? Of course, 5. But with regards to it being Super Bowl 46, again, sacrifice equals 46. 46. Genesis 46 begins with the sacrifice. Genesis, Old Testament, Jewish, like Kabbalah, like Gematria. And here, her song was called Like Wow. Let's see if there's anything to that. Like Wow. Well, what stands out to me about that is the 35 and 98, because that year the Giants defeated Tom Brady, and those numbers are always huge with his career, just like how he just fell to 3-5 for the season and picked up his 35th career home loss on Thursday, where 35 always dominates on Thursday in the NFL. And I shouldn't say always, but it comes through about 90% of the time in the NFL. So far this season, it's missed in one game. And again, just patterns. But here, let's go back and look at this actually. Leslie Carter, Like Wow, single, wiki. Let's see. So it came out January 13th, 2001 in the U.S. So she dies 11 years later. And again, for football, right? Football's 11 on 11. Football's 11 on 11. And that date can also be written 13/1, like 131. And the other thing I should tell you about, again, just so you understand, I stick to these ciphers because they're very easy to explain, and you can see how this system is used day in and day out with the rituals. There are other ciphers in Gematria that do matter. If you've read my bigger book, it's also covered in this guy, how he made the chapter on rig sports in the smaller book. But I do cover the significance of 35 in the history of football and why that number is so relevant to the league. Again, the football's the shape of the eye. I equals 35. Genesis 3:5 is about the eyes of God. The occult, the sun in the sky, is the eye of God. Because, when it's out, we, the children of God, can see. And when it's dark, it's harder for us to see. So there's an occult connection with the eye and the sun as well. But in these other ciphers, which are related, Septenary and Chaldean are related ciphers. Notice how Super Bowl in this cipher is 35, and so is football. So they're related ciphers, those two. For example, in those ciphers, if you write out Washington, D.C., it's 47 in both. And remember how big those numbers are in D.C. in the base ciphers. D.C. is 47, President is 47, White House is 47, government is 47, authority is 47, Republican is 47, Democrats 47, DC's 47. Trump, I've done more in 47 years than Biden's, Trump said, I've done more in 47 months than Biden's done in 47 years. Of course, Biden was the 47th VP who took office with 7-year-old Obama. Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. He's going to officially announce for the upcoming election on November 14th, the day leaving 47 days left in the year, his new social media platform, Truth Social, equals 47. There was a news article written about his hiatus from posting on there. And after his first post, his next post came exactly 47 days later, which, by the way, is a number connected to time. And that's why the tropics of this earth are set 47 degrees apart. And that's why this nation's birthday is the 4th day of the 7th month. And again, the Jesuits who came from France, who created the Scottish Rite, who came to power in France, L'Enfant laid out DC, who's a French Freemason. And don't overlook that France has the 115 as well, in light of the first bathtub death being in France with Jim Morrison. And now Aaron Carter joins the club on 11-5. But yeah, just with regards to politics, again, on this same day, Joe Biden, born in Pennsylvania in Scranton, you got a mass shooting. We've seen this so many times too. Mass shootings connected to sports. Another topic we've covered a million times, also in my first book, Letters and Numbers. But on the big Jesuit day, they have to tell you 9 injured, 5 critically. The Jesuits created to counter the 95 Theses. Remember, when they signed Garrett Cole on the 95th day of his age, he made his debut with the Yankees. I should say when the Yankees signed Garrett Cole on the 95th day of his age, he made his debut with the Yankees and got his 95th career win. And Fauci, the Jesuit, threw out the first pitch. Fauci's 95. Here, let me get rid of the other ciphers so we're not overwhelmed with numbers there. But just coming back to the base ciphers, Fauci, the Jesuit, 95. Again, the 95 Theses was pinned on Halloween. This year on Halloween, Myles Garrett has a monster ritual, number 95 for Cleveland. The assistant coach of the Bengals dies on Halloween. See how Halloween's also 148? His dad was Mike Zimmer, 148, and he died 148 days after his dad's birthday on Halloween, the day leaving 61 days left in the year, as the Vikings improved to 6-1 the day prior. The team that wears purple, like the royal family, and the Vikings had the first win in London this year when the Queen died on the first day of this season. Again, the season that will end with Super Bowl 57.
Hit that like button, gang. Hit that like button. Subscribe, be slapping.
Maryland over North Carolina. And then she dies on the Virgin Mary's birthday, and North Carolina is named after King Charles, who's now the King of England. So again, you guys, this knowledge just brings it all together. Undeniably. And again, if there was more like care in the world and more people that were about cooperating and working together rather than being jealous and haters, you'd see YouTube full of videos, thanking me for the work, celebrating the work. I mean, there are a lot of people.
Hey, salute and shout out to Zachary for this one, gang. You feel me? Like I said, he's actually showing the motherfucker how to do the Gematria numbers to, this shit right here, man, these deaths. And he's putting it together so well, though. I cannot lie. So shout out to Zachary K. Hubbard again, man. You know what I'm saying? I had to pinpoint this and show my people, because a lot of black people don't even know about this shit. Hey, yet alone, a lot of black people don't believe in this shit, man. There's a lot of you motherfuckers out there that sit on the toolbox, gang, and do not believe in these rituals and shit that be going on, these sacrifices. I be saying it. Like,
people that thank me for the work and they show their support by supporting the platforms that I have to
hit that like button, man.
Like Patreon. But almost all the videos that are made about me are by haters who lie and slander. And I can guarantee you almost all of them are a bunch of oohs. And you know what I mean when I say oohs? I can guarantee almost every single last one's a ooh. Again, we just had a great week of basketball. What gets produced? A video with my face that says fraud alert, Zach's horrible basketball picks. Like, horrible basketball picks. Let's see. Let's go back and count for the week. Let's see. We hit over 70% of games, and there's a video made about me about the horrible picks. Weird, because everybody who supports the work made good money this week. Then meanwhile, anybody who doesn't know and is just looking for more information, all they're finding is this loser making all these fake videos based in bullshit where he only focuses on what's wrong. And not to mention that guy's a moron. He also copies me and tries to have his own Patreon where he puts out his own picks, but he's too dumb, he can't even count. One of his public posts recently is about the 44 days that Liz Truss spent in office. He's so much of a moron, he doesn't even know that she spent 45 days in office. Not 44, but these are my critics. Low IQs, haters, sorry-ass people that won't put their own face on the screen. And by the way, the reason Liz Truss was in office for 45 days, because we can actually count over here, is because it's all about London Bridge, the operation for when the Queen died.
That's crazy.
And what's a truss? Oh, yeah, that's what goes over the bridge that helps it stay up above the water. A truss. You see how the ritual works? Liz Truss in office for 45 days. Remember when Steph Curry hit the three-point record? I said, watch, there'll be a bridge collapse soon. Guess what? 45 days later, what's fallen down? The bridge collapse.
Exactly. Hey, that shit crazy.
January 28th, 128.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Look, because them numbers do be. I was telling motherfuckers this though, like, dog. Every time I hop on there, I be telling motherfuckers like, gang, them numbers add up. And once you start adding them up and you do your math, my nigga, if you know how to count, like, gang just said, Zach just said it best though. If you know how to count, you will actually be able to put these numbers together like the Aaron Carter shit. You feel me? It's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. I don't really know. Like, the rituals be right in our face, gang. They throw the numbers in there. They throw all that shit right there in the videos and everything else. And we be so blind to see it, dog. Definitely my culture, gang, my people. So we got to wake the fuck up. You know, hit that like button to his merch, gang. Hit that subscribe if you haven't to share this shit.
Burn hollow. Okay? So, again. And please don't be the person that always asks the same dumb, redundant question that just shows the low IQ. How do you rig a baseball game? Have you ever heard of the Chicago Black Sox scandal?
Damn.
I mean, do you have a brain? How do you rig a baseball game? These guys are over there doing all these signs that you don't even know what they mean. And then
exactly. Hey, I know some of y'all wondered that too. Like, what the fuck do them things be? They know what the fuck that mean, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? All type of goofy ass shit. Like, what do that shit be really meaning? You feel me?
And then the next thing you know, it's the 40-second picture of the game, and I'm doing a live call on how it's going to get jacked out of the park, and then it comes on the bat of Jorge Soler, who's the modern day Karen, who retired at age 42. And congrats to all the winners again. We thought the Phillies had a very good shot to win the National League this year and be in the World Series. And like I told all my people, if you took my advice on the future for the Phillies in the World Series that paid over 30-1, I told everybody at the beginning of this series, hedge with the Astros because then you're guaranteed to make money. So for those of you guys who can't do math, if you put $100 down on the Phillies to win the World Series at 30, it was like 31-1 odds, which was probably the clue they were going to play Houston, the 31 city. That means you were in position to win $3,100. So what do you do to make sure you make money once the World Series is set with the Phillies and the Astros? Why not put $1,500 down on the Astros? That way, if they win, who are the favorites, you win about another $1,000. And I mean, the downside is have the Phillies won, then you would lose that $1,500. But again, you're making sure that you make money. And week after week, people in my community find themselves in a situation where they have 5 out of their 16 come through in their parlay. And now all they did is that game, and all they bet was $10, and now they're in position to win between $500 and $1,000. Well, guess what you do when you're in that situation? You can't ride it out and hope that last game comes through to get the maximum bet. But once you're in that situation, now you can do a big bet on the other side just in case. You can bet $250 on the other side. That way, if the parlay for $10 loses in the 6th game, guess what? You hit with a $250 bet, and you still made $250. And all you risked at the beginning was 10. That's why this is the paramount knowledge for dominating. And for all the people who teach that, you know, parlays are throwing away your money, those people don't know Gematria. So, anyway, we've been doing it every year, you guys. 111th World Series. Had New York in the World Series before spring training began. 112th World Series. Guaranteed why the Cubs would win before postseason was even set. Guaranteed why the Cubs would beat the Indians in Game 7. That's huge money. 113th World Series. Here, you know, they should have wrote an article about me every year, but here was the 113th World Series. Echo YouTuber approves World Series was rigged. Dated November 20th, 2017. The video comes courtesy of a guy named Zachary K. Hubbard, that's me, and he is convinced that everything is rigged. News, politics, the weather, sports, everything. Well, I don't say everything's rigged, but everything in the media is rigged. Everything in the media. That's what they should have wrote. That's what I've always said. Life. And think about it, you guys. The only reason they were able to set up the Game 6 666 ritual on the Jesuit Day, November 5th, is because of the rainout in Philadelphia. Now, what was I showing this year? Again, I was showing how, here, remember how we had the hurricane? Hurricane 56, right? The Astros go on to win the World Series in their 56th season. Run it forwards, it's 52. What were they making fun of me here? They quoted me. The reason that matters is because the word flood in Gematria equals 52. Houston flooded on a date with 52 numerology on August 27th, which was the 239th day of the year, which is the 52nd prime number. It was also 27 years to the day of the death of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who was remembered for the album Texas Flood. Think about it. So they're making fun of that, and I made the point about how Matt Harvey had been the first pitcher to pitch in Houston 52 days before the start of the World Series after the flooding of Harvey. And not to mention, we predicted what day Harvey would flood Texas, and we were dead on about that too.
Damn.
So not only did we predict what day the flooding would happen, we predict what day of the World Series the flooding would happen. And one of the big clues, I got to give credit to Fox News, because Fox News interviewed a woman how her house had the highest elevation in the neighborhood. It was the only one that wasn't flooded. They showed her property to the neighborhood. They showed her property to the neighborhood where everyone was underwater. And they asked her how she felt about that, being the only house not flooded on the block. She goes, I feel like I won the World Series. She goes, I feel like I won the World Series. All your neighbors are flooded, but your house all your neighbors are flooded, but your house isn't. Won the World Series, and the way you feel is like you won the World Series. We've been showing this. So again, you guys, we've been showing this again. Weather control's been admitted to.
Hey, that's crazy.
Weather control's been admitted to since 1952. You want to do some research? Want to expand your mind? Look up the name Enlil, which is the Babylonian god of flooding, which is the Babylonian god of flooding, and look up the word flood in Gematria. The exact same in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. Also notice where Earth. Also notice where Earth. Whoops, I typed Earth wrong. Earth, Enlil, flood. Okay. You see how they're the exact same Earth, flood, in 3 out of the 4 ciphers, and Enlil and Earth are the exact same in all 4, and think about how the word Pope is a lot like that, and the Pope rules over the Earth in the eyes of the Catholic Church, and we have a calendar that we're on that's 52 weeks named after Pope Gregory the 13th, the Gregorian calendar. So, again, you guys, this is why all roads lead to Rome. You know, fireworks in Houston on Guy Fawkes Day. What's Guy Fawkes Day to remember? To remember the day the Jesuit Guy Fawkes tried to blow up British Parliament with fireworks?
Nuh-uh. What day was that?
And just to tell you guys one more thing, you know, with regards to the world of sports and championships, I'll tell you the weird thing that happened in my own life. True story, and the story just finished yesterday. So, you know, back in 2018, I moved from the Seattle area to Yakima, Washington. And, of course, the big hero in Yakima, let me show you some Gematria Yakima. The big hero family from Yakima is the Cup family. They have 3 generations in the NFL. You see how Yakima is 102? Remember, Cooper Kupp was the MVP of Super Bowl 56, the 102nd NFL season. And, by the way, it was easy for why the Rams would fall to 3-4 last week. Remember, Sean McVay's got the Ukrainian fiance, the same colors as the Ukraine flag. They win the Super Bowl right before the whole 102 ritual starts with Ukraine. But anyway, you guys might recall last year a news story. A police officer from Yakima called the governor of Washington State a piece of shit. I'm going to go do some more studies on this nigga shit, dog. He be popping, dog. I can't lie to you. That nigga was calling these motherfuckers. Let me go see what. I got to find this nigga page. Because I'm talking about, dog. You can't tell me he wasn't calling them like that, dog. He's shooting them off, too. Like, damn. And believe it or not, that shit real. Believe it or not, hey, they probably flagged 1,000 of this man shit, man. I mean, ain't no telling. I'm trying to find some more shit where him and dog was popping them. I just got to. Okay. Let's see, y'all. Let's see what we can find up here. Because dog was popping them. I'm talking about the way he adding that shit up together. That shit crazy. It make a lot of sense. Oh, let me see this one. I don't think we watched this one, man. Let's check this one out. All right, welcome back, True Seeker. I'm joined with Jonathan. He watched the live stream this morning, and he has a lot more information to add. And as I mentioned on that stream, Jonathan is who is completing the book 38 Special about the many deaths in the world of hip-hop by the 38 Code. And again, as a reminder, that 38 Code doesn't just pertain to the world of hip-hop. Also dead in the news today is the assistant coach of the Bengals, the son of Mike Zimmer, the former coach of the Vikings, who's dead at age 38, who also used to coach in Minnesota, the state where George Floyd was killed on the corner of 38th Street, who was connected to the Houston hip-hop scene where we have the death of Takeoff. But as a reminder, you are watching Gematria Effect News, possibly also Gematria Effect Sports. And in the language of Gematria, murder, death, killing, and RIP all equal 38, as does the word rapper. It's an all too familiar pattern. And in this case, so does Minnesota, since we're talking about the son of the Minnesota, or I should say former Minnesota coach. And anyway, not to get off on that tangent of his death, let's talk about Takeoff. And we got Jonathan here to bring the additional information that I missed on in the stream earlier today. So without further ado, here's Jonathan to make sure when his book comes out, 38 Special, you support it. All right, what's up, Jonathan?
Thanks, Zach.
Of course.
So this wasn't the first time that someone has tried to make an attempt on the Migos. Back on May, it was reported on March 28, 2014, that after a show, the Migos crew was driving in a van on a highway after a club appearance when another vehicle pulled up alongside them and started shooting. And notice they emphasize the word van. Um, the word van equals 44, along with Georgia equals 44.
And you know what else? I don't know if you caught it, but Chigozi Truth did a stream on this morning, and he noticed that from the death today to Offset's upcoming birthday, the third member of Migos, who apparently wasn't here, but from the death to Offset's upcoming birthday is a span of 44 days. And again, if you guys are new here, that's another really familiar pattern. Shooting equals 44, execution 44, kill 44. And like Jonathan just said, Georgia, as the Falcons get to 4-4 over the weekend. And don't forget, last year, Matt Stafford, the Georgia product, won the Super Bowl on the 44th day of the year. Not to mention Matt Stafford equals 44 right after Georgia won the college championship. So again, like we're always saying, these patterns, they go beyond death and killing. From college to the NFL, it's all rigged and scripted. The ritual murders, it's the same code being used across the board because it's the same type of people controlling all of these entertainment streams.
So the article continues. Their reports of the group's bodyguard shot in the leg and hospitalized. He also claims they returned fire at the other vehicle, saying there was at least 40 rounds being blasted. And notice the word 40 in numerology, the zero doesn't count, so it's like a 4. And it's like you were talking about earlier, Zach. This is basically the 4-year anniversary of his solo album coming out. Tomorrow will be 4 years since the album dropped. And 4 is a number associated with death. So they emphasize that they were in a van. And like I said, the word van equals 44. Couple years later, 2019, there was a report about Offset. Somebody was trying to. There's not a lot of details on it, but in 2019, the other member of the group, Migos. So Migos is three people in Migos. It's Offset, Takeoff, and Quavo. So, like I said, 2014, there was an attempt on their life in Miami. Then in 2019, one of the members, Offset, was a victim of a drive-by shooting. He didn't get hit or anything, but they tried to kill him in 2019. And supposedly Offset is now not a part of the group. Supposedly he left the group. So Quavo and Takeoff. Quavo is the uncle.
Hey, my thing is this though, like it's do people be still, do y'all believe in this though? Like, I honestly do. I don't believe it's no coincidences, but I do believe in shit like this. Like motherfuckers be possibly sacrificing the shit out of motherfucker gang. Definitely when they want that bread, they want their money. You feel me? So they gonna have to do what they gotta do to get that bread up. You feel me? A motherfucker gonna have to make a choice. They're gonna have to choose a side and eventually pick, like, yo, I want to get this money. I'm running out. They running low. All that jewelry they buying, everyday cars, niggas talking about they buying 1 point something $1 million houses over here and there. Like, gang, you gotta be running out of money. You can't. I don't think it's possible. You just, you still coming out the motherfucking woodworks with these bands on you like that. So 9 times out of 10, yeah, it's probably true that you do gotta go do some goofy ass shit like that. Though sacrifice your own boy. That's some goofy shit. Don't get it twisted, my nigga. You might as well sacrifice a limb. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why the nigga can't cut off a leg or something? Let y'all have a leg and he still ball. You feel me? Like he still go crazy though. Like nah, that's different. That'd be amazing. But like to sacrifice a whole nother human being, gang, for their life and they soul just for this little piece of chump change. And at the end of the day, when it's your time to go, when your number get pulled, they come snatch your ass. That ain't worth it. I don't believe it is. You know.
And Takeoff is his nephew.
So they just came out with an album.
And
just about it was.
Oh, okay. So I'm seeing
the
now
Drink Champs
the Uncle Nephew
interview.
album. Okay. Because hey, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I thought that was some shit between Jay Prince and Quavo or some shit like. You know what I'm saying? I thought them motherfuckers put an album together. I'm like, hell no, how the fuck that's gonna work, gang? That shit wasn't even gonna look right, but I get it now.
Quavo and Takeoff came out. It was published October 22nd, right?
So
about 10 days
ago.
If you go to the 9-minute
and 30-second mark, right? You go to the 9-minute and 30-second mark. Nori's giving Takeoff praise, right? He's like, I feel like you really showed out on this album. You know, you really did a good job. And Takeoff responds, he goes, yeah, I feel like it's my time to shine. I feel like I had to let people know what I could do. And he was like, I want my flowers now.
This is what Takeoff said about 10 days ago.
This is what Takeoff said about 10 days ago.
He says, I want my flowers now, not when I'm gone. He says, I want my
flowers now, not when I'm gone.
I think I might remember that part too. I think I might remember that part, gang. That's crazy. And if y'all can't hear me, y'all let me know, man. I want to make sure the mic and shit clear because I know somebody in the comments said, sound like a little matrixy. But yeah, man, that's crazy. I did hear that. I heard that, most definitely did. Wow.
And it's a tradition on Drink Champs. They bring him the flowers. So they bring him the flowers. And then start clapping. It's about the 9-minute and 30-second mark. So now all of a sudden he's dead. Now remember, there was a few years ago, I want to say around 4 years ago, there was a rumor that Takeoff had died. And now it becomes true, supposedly. Or you're gonna? Can you play it, or will that?
Oh no, we better not. They might get us with the copyright. Okay. I'm just showing people if they want to check it out.
Yeah, 9 minutes.
Hey, but I don't know though. That's crazy because somebody else was saying some shit about Offset was supposed to be dead. You know what I'm saying? Like I was on somebody else channel, gang, and it was this lady. She hopped up there. She like, yeah, Offset dead. He a clone, this, that, and the other. And to get up there and make those type of accusations, you gotta really know what you're talking about. I mean, to me, you really gotta know what the fuck you saying. They don't need to say that, but he's saying take off. So I'm a little confused though. Excuse me, gang. Long day, yes sir. So I mean, but hit that like button, man. As y'all up in here, man. It's merch, but I'm giving y'all some jewels though, man, because these Gematria boys, they was dope.
To the 9 minutes and 30-second mark. Together. And so, okay, again, so let's just go back to Miami, right?
My bad. I was just trying to get up this story. But by the way, did you know that they said he was playing a dice game when he got shot? The Gematria dice game is 38, like rapper, like death, like murder, like killing, like RIP.
Oh, that's a good catch.
Yeah, the Breakfast Club covered that. The Breakfast Club covered that they were doing the dice game. But the picture I saw of him dead, it looked like he was on stairs. So I'm like, who plays dice on stairs?
That's what I saw too. It doesn't even look.
It's like they just got to throw in the detail to get the gematria in there.
This doesn't even feel real. It doesn't feel like he's even
dead. That's crazy. Somebody else said that to me. Somebody was like, damn, could he have faked his death? It's like he might not even be dead, gang. I'm not sure if he was or not, but that shit crazy though. Like it's like that. And the rituals, they do get real like that, man. You know, you get motherfuckers doing that shit. People around the world don't be believing that shit, but like I told y'all, I know they be doing rituals and sacrifices like this, gang. These motherfuckers. Hey, if black people already done thought about it, my nigga, why was white boys come out the cut and think about it? And then they, you know, they got channels on this shit where they doing numbers on this shit, my nigga, and the numbers do add up.
And is that a couple years ago there was a rumor that he died. Now he actually dies, and
the numbers
there's just so much to this. Okay, so
y'all gotta pay
just back to the Miami thing, right? So the first attempt on the Migos was
an attempt in a van in Miami. So Miami is the 305 area code. And now today's the 305th day of the year.
Right.
Okay, so today's the 305th day of the year. Their first attempt on their life was in the 305 area code. And like I said, 2019, they already attempted to try to kill Offset. Now Takeoff's dead. So you got to think about it. The Migos is probably the biggest group, one of the biggest groups in hip hop history. Of course, one of their members had to go. It's just like the biggest. Let's talk about the biggest groups in hip hop history. Wu-Tang Clan, right?
Damn, what about
Bastards gone?
NWA. What about Bone Thugs? Shit, what about Bone Thugs? That's crazy though. You feel me? Like I understand what he's saying. Like, you got the biggest group. You feel me? Yeah. Sooner or later, you figure a motherfucker gonna come after one of y'all. You'll figure a motherfucker gonna come to remove one of y'all out the way, right? Well, I mean, only way that can happen possibly, I say, is like what we see now through this ritual shit. And if that's the case, then damn, there's so many groups out there like that, gang. I mean, but I guess they got their picks and they got their choices, huh? I don't know. I don't know.
Eazy-E gone. So of course you got to have. I saw this coming. We seen this coming. This is a predictable story with all the same numbers that they always put in it. So of course, one of the biggest, arguably the biggest hip hop group of our generation, now one of the members is gone. Some argue he was the one with the most talent.
Yeah, that shit crazy. It'd be like this, man. That's
if you gotta look at the label, right?
Yeah,
quality control.
You know, and that shit be like that, man. It makes you wonder though. It makes you wonder, like, is this shit really real, man? Like I said, I have to tap in though and show motherfuckers though, like, damn, peep this, check this shit out, man. You feel me? Like, these rituals really real? You know, do they really be real? You see Whack 100 on the motherfucker ass. It's like, they all seem to hop on somebody's head too though. Soon than that happen, gang. You gotta think about it. There's been a lot of motherfucking deaths that happened and took place. I don't know if everybody just hopped on his ass because it made a lot of sense to, or you know, I don't know if okay, that's cool. Okay, thank you for letting me know that too. But I don't know if you know if like this shit was just foreseen already. But a lot of motherfuckers don't even be peeping and paying attention to this shit, man. Like, you know, this shit is right before our eyes, gang. They will do that ritual and then bust that move and make it look like it was an accident. Then make that murder look like it was a setup or whatever the case may be. Yeah, it was a setup, but it was a overplay or underplay setup type shit, man. You know, I just had to hip y'all to that Gematria shit, though, man. Make sure y'all share this video, man. Like this video, man. Subscribe if you haven't. You know, let your friends know, your family know. And I love y'all for being there, man. Hey, until the next one, man. I'm out.